Hi, I'm Colleen Sgroi and I teach art classes, and I have an art center for children and adults, and we have other teachers that teach at my art center. So while I'm home and all my other art teachers are at home, I'm trying to post some watercolor classes for adults and children and just teach the basics of the watercolors that I normally teach. So today, since it's April and it's a rainy day out there, I am going to do April showers, bring May flowers. And this is going to be a fun class that teaches a whole bunch of different techniques on how to do this splattering and splashing up and shading that you have there. And you think that maybe you can't do it, but I have a very simple way in which I'm going to teach you. So first, let me show you that I have this taped to my it's called an artist block, and I'm just going to show you how this works. So it has like an edge that's all glued down, and it's not like your typical watercolor paper that I'll show you another one that you can order. You can order any of these on Amazon. This is just the kind that you can rip off, and when you rip it off like that, you would tape it down with some blue tape like this. So that's just a little bit about the tools that we would be using for paper. This course actually works better if you have watercolor paper, so if you can order it and have it be delivered to your house, that would be great. So one of the things that I do is I can make this picture downloadable for you on the link that will be, on this page. And so you can download it. And the thing that you can do is you can tape it. See how I have it taped in two places? That's so it won't shift easy when you're tracing it. So this tracing, I bring to beginners because sometimes you don't want your brain to have to be thinking about how to draw things. So if you can get past the drawing and you can just work on how the watercolor works, it somehow clicks into that place in your mind where all you're focusing on is, how do I make these watercolors work? Because there's definitely a technique to it, and a lot of people have told me it's so hard to do watercolors. But I have found that when I teach it this way, that something else gets out of the way. It's like we move that part of the brain that's like, oh, I'm not a good drawer, I'm not this, I'm not that. At least you have the drawing part down. I'm also going to show you how you can draw the picture too, so that you don't have to trace it. So when I tape it down like this, there's two ways that you can do that. One is to get some carbon paper, and this is like a light, it's called graphite, and it's like a very light, it comes in a roll. You can also get sheets, but it's very light, and there's a light side and a dark side. So you definitely want to have the dark side down towards your paper. And then you would put it underneath like this, and then you would take your pencil and you would draw your picture onto your paper and peek underneath to make sure you're putting the right amount of pressure on your paper, on your pencil to your paper. And then the other way, if you don't have this, now a lot of you might not have this at home, the other way that you can do it is you could take a pencil and you could scribble along the lines of where you want the drawing to be. So that's on the back of the page. You get the back of the page, and if you scribble really hard with a pencil, when you go to draw it on this side and you trace it, those pencil marks will transfer onto, so it's like graphite that you're using with your pencil, and you can transfer. So that's an easy way to do it without any other materials. So that being said, those are the materials for that. We are going to use a straw, so you're going to need a straw to blow, and that will come for another part. The other thing I will talk about is my watercolors. This is Yaka St. Petersburg watercolors, and they are my favorite watercolors. I got used to using them. I've used the tubes, I've used other ones, and they're fine. So whatever you have will work. These I particularly like. It has a little palette on the top. You can see I haven't even washed it off because you can re-wet that and use those colors again. But sometimes if I'm starting fresh in a new painting, I'll wash all that down and then I'll use it again. So that's one. Another one that you could get, you could even get a small one. This is my travel one, and this is put out by Coleman, and it's perfectly fine, and it has even like a little mini paintbrush that opens up and works inside. So I take this with me if I'm like going on vacation and I want to paint in my journal. So this is a great one too that you can use, or really any watercolors that you have at home. The cheaper ones tend to come out really light and don't have a lot of pigment in them. So you may be disappointed if you get those. These are about anywhere from, let's see, $60 to $75. And all of these pieces come out and they can be replaced. So if you use one color more than another, you can always go and buy them online. A place that I buy them is Dick Blick, and you can just buy the individual colors and replace them, where you don't have to buy this whole thing. This lasts a long time, so depending on how much you paint, you know, this is like I think this is like my second palette. I have a bunch of other ones because I teach classes, so I have them, but this is my personal one. And so I've replaced pieces from it, and it just gives me fabulous color, a lot of vibrant colors. So that's a little bit about the paint. I told you about the paper. We have different kinds of brushes. These are called round brushes, and this is a synthetic brush. It doesn't have to be the kind of brush that you can see, you know, with the little bamboo, and it has the top like that. I tend to like these little synthetic brushes that don't really cost a lot, but as long as they get a good point, you can really use these, you know, for just about anything. This one I've had forever, and I don't even know what brand it is anymore because everything is worn off of it, but I've had this probably since I began watercoloring. So watercolors aren't really hard on your brushes, so as long as you take care of them and clean them off, they're perfectly good. Whereas acrylics and oils, you need to keep replacing your brushes a lot. Sorry about that. So another thing that I like to use is gouache, and I always have a tube of gouache. So this is for, you can see in this picture, if I put it up really close, you can see these little white splatters. So that's going to be a part of the painting that we do when with the little splatters. So that being said, I am going to show you how you can draw this freehand. So I'm going to shift my camera. So I got a new arm that kind of clips to my desk, and then it kind of comes over and it holds it. So I'm going to shift my camera, so you're going to see me shift my camera because I'm still even learning editing, so I don't even know how to do all that stuff. So I'm just going to shift it, and please excuse my shifting and turning so that I get it so that it's right over the artwork. All right, so there we go. I think I have it in there. And I'm going to take a piece of tissue paper just so that you can see the image underneath. And I'll take a little piece of tape and I'll tape it down. But this is just to demonstrate how you could draw right on your watercolor paper. So I'm just gonna do this just to show you, but if this was your watercolor paper right here, this little piece of paper, this is my little demo of how I could teach you how to do it. So you're gonna find something that's a little bit round like this, or some kind of a circle, or a cap, or, you know, here's something that's round, but like kind of look around your house and see if you can find something that would fit the size if you're not tracing it. So you can kind of get your umbrella in there. So I'm gonna kind of just do like a half circle like that, and you can see it's a little bit bigger, it's not the same shape. And then I'm gonna draw a line down the middle like this. And then I'm gonna draw one line kind of going right into the middle like this, and right into the middle of it right this. And then I'm going to do curves, 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 and curves. So that's your umbrella there. You can see that I didn't quite do that curve too well, so you can erase it. And then I'm going to do the umbrellas, little stick that comes up above it like this. And then there's like a U under here, and under here like that. Now, the body is kind of like this triangle that's sticking out underneath it like this. And then the arm is like the corner of an L like this. And you can put the hand with, just kind of make little bumpies like that. You don't have to get into a lot of details. Then you can stick some little legs that's sticking down underneath it. And you can make the boots, one in the front, like this, and then one in the back. And see how it just kind of goes a little bit back. It doesn't fall down to this line. It goes a little bit back and a little bit up over here. And then you can put your fun little polka dots on the boots. This makes them kind of fun. And you can paint these whatever color you like. They don't have to be the way that I did them. In fact, I might do it a little bit different this time. So that's basically the only part that you need to draw when you draw it. Let's say you're drawing it right on your watercolor like this. And then that would be on your watercolor, and that's all you would need to draw. Now, I used the carbon paper just to demonstrate, and you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I'll hold it up close. Sometimes the carbon paper gets a little dark on your watercolor paper, and just from your hand being on it, it can kind of get on there. So you can clean it up a little bit just so you're not seeing these little smudges from the carbon paper like this. But be careful that you don't do it too hard, because this is what can mar your watercolor paper, okay? I think I have it in the spot that I should have it. All right, so let me open up the watercolors so that you can see them right here. I'm gonna show you the watercolors right here beside me. And then, and here's my water and my paper towel. So I have a water and a paper towel like that. And then I am going to use, let's see, what did I do with that? Those two paintbrushes I just put down. Let's see. Oh, here they are. So the first thing that we're going to do in this painting is we are going to, and you can even take like a pencil if you want, and just draw a quick little line like this for the ground that she's standing on, so that you can have her just be kind of on the ground like this. Okay, then what I want you to do is I want you to wet. If you've taken my other classes, you're gonna know what I'm gonna say. You're gonna wet your background. Now you're going to not do inside the umbrella. You're only going to do, I'm sounding like I'm from Boston, which I am. I just said umbrella. And so if you're watching from somewhere else, you can tell I have a little bit of that Boston accent. I've moved to other places like Virginia and Boca Raton and Fort Lauderdale. I've lived up and down the East Coast, different places. And I've been very aware of my accent because of it. And other people say, you don't sound like you're from Boston. And it's probably because I've lived in other places and I'm very aware of it. And so when I hear myself say it, I know. So here I am, I'm wetting it, wetting it, wetting it. If you have a smaller piece of paper, you don't have to wet as much. But I'm really trying to get a lot of water on there. I don't like it to be too dry because the paint won't flow as well. So you can see how much water I'm just sopping it on there, and I'm just going around the umbrella. You don't want it to go inside the umbrella, and you don't want it to go inside the space under the umbrella. All of this part right here is dry, and the ground is dry, because we're going to do that a different color, and we'll do that later. So I think I've got the whole thing wet, and then we're going to pick a nice blue. I'm using like almost like a turquoise blue, and I'm just going to make it, oh, wait a minute, it's kind of rainy, so let's see if we could turn this around and I can show you how I might mix some colors. Like this was like a royal blue and a black that I mixed together. So let's make it kind of like a rainy gray blue, and we're just making it go across, back and forth. Oops, just dripped some on my umbrella. You can lift anything with a paper towel. You can see we've got a little bit of the, and see how I just switched the colors, but I'm making that all blend in together. This is, you can see how it's just flowing really easy. And sometimes I'll grab some water and sometimes I'll just keep going. Now I want to go carefully around this umbrella like this so that I don't get it inside the umbrella. And then I do the edges like this. Where everything is super wet, everything is super flowy, and we're trying to pull that gray blue, the dreary wearies, and make this painting that I'm calling April Showers. What comes after April showers? Anybody know? That's right, May flowers. April showers bring May flowers. Okay, so now that I have all that color on there, you can lift it and you can see it start to shift on you. And you can lift it like this and move it, and you can lift it like this, and it starts to kind of drip down, and it kind of even gives it a better drippy kind of, you can see how the drips are happening and just getting that drippy watercolory kind of look to it. So we're going to just let that kind of dry like that, and that's going to be our gray rainy sky. Okay, so now because I don't want to, if I started painting this umbrella right now, then it would start, like if I made it purple like in the picture, it would start bleeding right into this color, because wherever there's water, the watercolor will bleed into. So I'm going to change my brush from the bigger brush to a little bit of a smaller brush, and I'm going to work on the raincoat. So you can make a yellow raincoat or whatever color raincoat you want. The typical raincoat that you see out there a lot of times, the old-fashioned ones are yellow. So we're just gonna make this all yellow like this. And you're just gonna get the whole thing yellow. You're gonna go right over the arm, and we are going to shadow this once we get the color on there. Okay. So there's your yellow. Then, if you want to shadow, as you can see, I'm going to pick this kind of like a little bit of an ochre. And I'm gonna see, and I'm gonna put a little bit of a line underneath where the arm meets the coat, and it's gonna give like a little bit of a shadow. And I'm gonna put a little shadow on the edge of this one, and underneath here I'll put a shadow because the umbrella will create a shadow. And then you can even get it right in here to go around the arm. And this is what's going to define your arm. You're going to see this yellow. And if it bleeds into the arm, don't worry about it too much. Later you can actually, sometimes you can actually wipe it off. I'm going to get a little more shadowing under here like this. You can see that that arm is kind of forming there and creating a little bit of a shadow like that. So now that that's wet, now we don't want to touch anything near there. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to decide, what color boots did we have in here? We had purple with yellow dots. So the thing that we could do is we could pick a different color. It doesn't have to be purple. Maybe we could do green. So what you want to do is you want to put your green in here like this, and just go around all the polka dots like that. And then you can make your polka dots whatever color you want. I'll probably do them yellow so that I'm kind of a matchy person, like when I'm dressing. So I kind of like to make things match a little bit, but yeah, you can do whatever you like. I know sometimes my daughter will wear things. She's very artsy. She's my third child, Johanna, and sometimes she'll wear things and she'll put pops of color that don't even match, and I go, how does she make that work? She's able to do it. So I tend to be a little bit more conservative when I dress. But anyway, that being said, then you can see in the back of this boot right here, this one, I want it to look a little bit darker. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix a little bit of this darker green in with the lighter green. I'm going to keep some of the lighter green, but I'm also mixing some of this darker green in with it. And I'm going to make the boot in the background a little bit, might be a little bit too much, so I'm going to go back to the lighter green, put some of that in there. There we go. I think we've got the right color. Just to get a little bit of a shadow. I might have waited, because I'm teaching a class, I'm trying to hurry this along, but sometimes I wait until that whole thing dries, and then I put the dark part in, because I don't want this dark green to bleed into the light green. But that way, when you put a dark thing behind, whenever you want something to pop forward, like we wanted this arm to pop forward, you put darkness underneath that, and it helps it to move up. So this one is in the back, so it's more into the shadows. And so that's gonna make this front one come forward visually. The other way it comes forward is you have this little bit up, and then this one stays down, okay? So that is the umbrella. I mean the watercolor coat and the boots. So we're not going to put the polka dots in yet. So the other thing that we can work on is the peach tone. This is always kind of hard when people are trying to make like a skin tone. So sometimes I'll use like a yellow ochre like this, and maybe add just a touch of orange to it. And then if you keep it light, your water acts as a white. So if you keep it light like this, it will look like skin tone like this. Now you can have normal legs just kind of showing through here, or you can have it be that she has pants on or tights on, and so you can put a color there too. So that kind of gives you the main part of the body that's completely covered, and it will give you an idea of how to do it. So I'm going to kind of trying to get like a light gray. So it's turning out a little bit too black, so I'm trying to take some of the color off. So when you add water to it, it will come out looking more of the gray tone like that. And then I'll make the bottom of it have like a color to it that will kind of match the umbrella. So now you can see with this umbrella that we have a shading going on here. So we have, so that you can tell which parts of it are those little lines that go through the umbrella. So we have a darker part, a medium part, the next color is a little bit lighter, and then the lightest color is over here, as if the light is shining from this way. And also in the boot, you could create like a shadow over here. Let's do that. Let's put a little bit of that dark green over here on the edge of this boot, and it gives it like a little bit of a shadow over here. Then you can put some down on the bottom like that. And then you can kind of blend it in a little bit like that. And then it looks shaded and light, and it looks pretty good. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do, I'm trying to get this to dry so it doesn't bleed into, you can blow it dry too with a blow dryer. So let's see, what color do we want to use for if we didn't use purple? Maybe we could do a this pink here. Maybe this could be our deepest, darkest pink. Oop. And we could do the darkest shade of it right here. You have to be careful because you want this outside to be dry or it'll bleed. And it's mostly dry. I can see some little bleed marks, but for the sake of doing this painting, I'm just kind of forfeiting it. You can see it's bleeding over here. Normally I would just say, okay, get a blow dryer, get it dry, or wait till it dries. Sometimes you have to be patient with these things. So then we have this pink. Then the next one is going to be just a little bit lighter. So how do we make it lighter? We're going to add water to it. So this part is going to be a little bit lighter. You don't add white, you add water. Water is your pretend white when you're working with watercolors. Here we go. So we have that. Now we can add a little bit more water and it's going to get lighter on this one. Normally, what I would do is I would be waiting till these, each section dries. And that's how they come out crisp and clean when each section dries. Trying not to get too close to the next one because I don't want it to. You can get some of this off. Then I add a little more water, and this is going to be your lightest side. You can see how it's bleeding in. Trying to put more water in there just to get it to soak up. And sometimes you can take another brush that's a little bit dry, and you can actually soak up some of the color like this, and it will help it. Okay, so there we have it, and you can see on my painting that this part here bled a little bit, but we can work with that because we're going to do those funky splash things. So what happens when you start to let your watercolor dry is you start to see these fun little things, and a lot of times you want to go back over it and like get rid of that. But if you can see how cool some of these little veins that run into and make like funky little lines. One of the ladies called it, and she calls them like cauliflowers. Sometimes they create like these fun little bursts in your, because when you let the water and the watercolor work and you don't overwork the paper, you can get some really cool little marks on your watercolors. Let's see, I have my Mindful Moon book right here that I illustrated. Let's see if I can get this underneath. Yep, there we go. And you can see they have little bursts that are going on here. This is me letting it wet, and then there's another really cool burst right there. Those are the kinds of things that you can let your watercolor kind of burst out and let things happen when you're doing it. Now, you can see there's this funky little thing happening in the middle right here. And I don't know, there's something about that just looks fun. So I'm just gonna let it go and see what happens with it. Sometimes when you let things go, you get the best surprises. So sometimes you just have to trust the watercolor and let it do whatever it's gonna do. You can see, I didn't really go back over, and I don't know if you can see this, but you can see these little fun things. It almost looks like rain coming in a cloud. Those are the fun things that you can just sort of, when you let the watercolor have its way, I'm telling you, it is the best. So now that we have the umbrella done, I'm gonna go back and get my darkest shade, and I'm just gonna put a little U under here and get this little thing like that. Now, I think my boots are actually dry, so we could put yellow polka dots in, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use this pink. I think this would be a fun color because green and red, and pink comes from red. This is kind of like a fuchsia pink. Green and red are complementary colors. So if you, if you can see I did it darker right there, and I'm doing it a little bit lighter in the front of the boot because this is where the shadow is. So you can you can even shadow your polka dots. You can see, get a little bit of color from that one. Put this here like that. And then I'll go back and get some more of the dark and do them darker right here. Polka dots. I'm gonna put one right here, just, okay. So there's the boots. You have your umbrella, you have your boots, you have your rain jacket. So far, so good. Now, here comes the cool part. I am going to make splashes of water bounce off this watercolor like this. So I'm going to show you how you can do this. You can see that it's actually bouncing off the ground too. So this is going to be kind of fun. So I'm going to go back to the gray blue that we originally put on the sky, and I'm putting, you can see I'm allowing little puddles to go there, and I'm taking my straw and I'm going to blow it. And you can see what happens. It's so cool. So let me do that again. I can do it in another spot like this. And make sure that you're blowing in the direction upward, away from your umbrella. And then you do it again over here. And make sure it's really kind of wet so that you have enough. Don't put like a dry blob on there. And you go with the curve of the umbrella. So you want to blow in the direction. I'm going to go right over that little part that was bleeding out. Then I'll do over here. And there you have it. You have like that splash going on. Then I'm going to do it near the ground here. So I'm going to put a bunch of dots down here. I'm going to start blowing up. Try to keep it in the direction that you want it to go. Like that. And I'm going to put some over here. That. So now we have that like that. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to use the same blue, very wet on your brush. You can see that I have like a wet, very wet area on my brush. And I'm going to begin to splatter. So you put your finger like this, and then you just tap it, and it starts to splatter everywhere. It's going to splatter on your umbrella. It's going to splatter in the inside part here. That's the whole idea. You want to get some splatters going on here. Now, if you did a darker sky or a darker umbrella, you, like I did with the purple, you can see how dark it is. Well, I put some white splatters on there just to contrast, but I have the blue splatters out here. So you can see the difference. But this, because it's pink, I don't think I really need to do that. So depending on what color you used, that will determine how you wanna do your splattering. This is kind of fun. Okay. Now the last thing that we're going to do, I'm moving it up just a little bit like this, is we're going to take and wet the ground like this, just like we did the sky. I'm going to wet right here underneath the feet, and we're going to get it all wet. If your color of your water ends up really dark or something, you might want to change your water, but mine is a little bit, you can see that it's not really affecting the painting. So you can have him be on, you can have her be on a road, you can have her be on the grass, but I'm gonna, for the sake of just having it I'm going to kind of mix some of those greens that we use. So I'm going to have a little bit of the darker green and mixed in and a little bit of that. So we're just going to kind of put them together and have them just create. You can see how it all flows together well when it's wet. You don't see any streak or paint marks. If yours isn't flowing like this, you don't have enough water. So just dip into the water and get more. I just got green on the blue, but see, you can just lift it off with a little bit of paper towel. And there you have it. There is your beautiful watercolor that is April showers, bring May flowers. So let's see if I can turn this back around. Oh my gosh. My phone has paint all over it from doing the splatters. So I hope you enjoyed this class, and I really do appreciate you tuning in and sharing your paintings with me. I have so enjoyed your paintings during this time and seeing what everybody's working on and seeing how much they enjoyed it. So I'm signing off for today, and I hope that you will again share your April showers painting with me. And I look forward to seeing how different everyone's is. A lot of times I'll repost whatever it is that you paint. So have a great day and stay safe. Love you all.